what if the people you vote for aren't the ones steering anything at all? What if the decisions shaping your life come from a group you never see, never elect, never hear about except through slips, hints, and accidental truths? The word oligarch once sounded foreign, something tied to Russia, the fall of the Soviet Union, and the billionaires who rose from the rubble and carved the country into pieces they could own. But now that word is no longer distant. It is global, it is familiar, and the most unsettling part is that the country most people point to isn't Russia anymore. It's the United States. Oligarchs are not simply wealthy or powerful. They sit above power. They do not wait for policy. They do not lobby. They instruct. They move money through channels most people don't know exist. They control companies that control institutions that control governments. By the time you feel their decisions, they were made years before your vote mattered. The modern idea of the oligarch may have started in post-Soviet Russia, when the state collapsed and a vacuum opened. In rushed the smartest and coldest operators, buying oil, media, politicians, and pieces of the country until a small circle ran everything. They held unquestionable money and unstoppable influence, a shadow government without ever stepping into office. But that model didn't stay in Russia. It became a blueprint, a quiet manual on how to run a nation without needing a title. And while people debate when the shift occurred, one thing has become clear. The center of this global network moved. It crossed oceans. It settled somewhere far more powerful, the United States. Even Bernie Sanders once said the headquarters of the global oligarch class sits inside America now. That isn't a fringe claim. That is someone inside the system saying the quiet part out loud. If the richest, most connected people on Earth operate from one place, then that place becomes the core of the machine. Think about who truly runs your world, not faces on screens or names on ballots. Think of the private equity firms buying entire industries. Think of families whose names never appear in the news, yet own companies that decide food prices, medicine costs, war strategies, and currency shifts. Think of the people who can call a senator before breakfast and have legislation rewritten by dinner. These aren't regular wealthy people. They are operators, architects, oligarchs. And here's the part people overlook. You don't need a dictatorship to create an oligarch class. You just need a system fragile enough to influence and complex enough that the public can't track what happens behind closed doors. A system built on loopholes, offshore networks, mergers, foundations, think tanks, revolving doors, unregulated markets, and relationships that hold more weight than laws. Oligarchs don't rule by announcing it. They rule by owning the key points of leverage: media, tech, energy, defense, pharmaceuticals, finance. If a small group controls these sectors, they control the structure of society itself. Take media. 5 corporations control nearly everything you watch or read. A handful of executives decide what stories live, die, or disappear before reaching the public. When information is controlled, perception is controlled. And when perception is controlled, behavior follows. Then there is tech. The same companies that run your phone, your search engine, your social networks, your digital communication, and your data storage are connected to the same handful of investors who sit in rooms the public never sees. They know what you search. They know what you buy. They know what you fear. They know what you believe. And they sell that knowledge to the highest bidder. Finance is even more concentrated. 3 firms control more wealth than most countries combined. They influence the value of entire markets. They influence interest rates. They influence global stability. When they move money, nations shake. And behind all this sits the oligarch class, invisible to the public, but fully visible to politicians who rely on them for donations, connections, and survival. You cannot run a modern political campaign without them. You cannot pass major legislation without their approval. You cannot challenge them without consequences. The world likes to pretend oligarchs only exist in countries the media calls corrupt. But that is the greatest distraction of all. Corruption in other countries becomes the mirror that hides the corruption at home. The average person hears the word oligarch and imagines a foreign accent, a black SUV, a mansion in Moscow. They do not imagine Silicon Valley. They do not imagine Wall Street. They do not imagine the quiet billionaire who funds both sides of elections while claiming neutrality. They do not imagine the philanthropist who donates millions to charities while shaping policies behind closed doors. The truth is simple. An oligarch is anyone rich enough to influence a nation and connected enough to do it without resistance. And right now, the richest and most connected people on earth are concentrated in one place. They sit at the heart of American power, but their influence stretches far beyond one country. They have investments in Africa, resources in South America, partnerships in Europe, operations in Asia. They run networks that cross borders more easily than any citizen ever could. They make deals that change global markets, while the public argues over elections that barely touch the real structure of power. As long as the oligarch class exists, democracy becomes theater, a performance meant to entertain the public while real decisions are made off stage. People vote for leaders while never realizing the leaders answer to someone above them. People fight over political parties without understanding both parties are funded by the same donors. People argue over culture while oligarchs reshape the world quietly, privately, permanently. So ask yourself something dangerous. If a small group at the top controls wealth, information, technology, medicine, defense, and politics, what do you call that system? What does it become? Who does it serve? And more importantly, who does it silence? Because the goal of an oligarch is not to rule openly, it is to rule without being seen, to keep the public distracted, to keep society divided, to keep the population fighting over symbols while the real architects remain untouched. But every system reaches a breaking point. Every hidden structure eventually cracks. And the rise of global oligarchy may be the biggest story of our time, even if most people never see it until it is too late. You be the judge. If you are awake, you already know what to do. Hit the link in our description and sign up to our free underground newsletter.